Well, the Kansas City Chiefs had their quest for a historic NFL three-peat halted in resounding fashion by the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 59 in what was one of the most spectacular beatings in Super Bowl history.
I take a lot of ownership in that, and I want to hopefully come back and play better football this next season.
A game which wasn't anywhere near as close as the final 40-22 score would indicate, following two extremely late garbage touchdown passes by Patrick Mahomes in a desperate and pitiful attempt to stat pad his absolutely putrid night.
But I feel like I didn't play to my standard, and so there's things that I have to get better at, and they kind of showed today.
At halftime of this game, the Chiefs were trailing 24-0, the second largest deficit in Super Bowl history at the half, while Mahomes was just 6 of 14 for 33 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, one a pick six and one that set the Eagles up on the Chiefs' 9-yard line with under 2 minutes to go in the half to all but end this game.
Like I said, I mean, I can't turn the ball over early in the game when it's not going our way, and I'll have to learn from that and try to be better the next opportunity that I hopefully get.
Mahomes' quarterback rating at halftime on a 158.3 scale stood at just 10.3. And Patrick wasn't any better when he got out of the locker room from halftime either, as the Chiefs found themselves down 34-0 with around 2 minutes to go in the third quarter, following a 46-yard bomb from Jalen Hurts to Devontae Smith.
Anytime you lose a Super Bowl, it's the worst feeling in the world. They'll stick with you the rest of your career. I mean, these will be the 2 losses that will motivate me to be even better.
That, though, is when the stat padding would begin, including 2 touchdown passes by Mahomes. In the final 3 minutes of the game, his team was trailing by 5 touchdowns in. Congratulations on making the final stat line look remotely respectable, but it does nothing to change the fact Mahomes unequivocally choked his ass off in the biggest stage imaginable as a 1.5-point favorite while going for a three-peat.
You only get so few of these, and you have to capitalize on these, and they hurt probably more than the wins feel good.
And 3 consecutive titles would have been an extremely rare occurrence in the history of professional North American sports, something that hasn't been done in any of the 4 major professional sports entities in the United States since the Shaq-Kobe Lakers beat the New Jersey Nets in the 2002 NBA Finals to capture their 3rd straight title. That is now 23 years and counting across all sports leagues, while the Chiefs were seeking to make NFL history in becoming the first 3-time consecutive champ ever. And the prospect of that accomplishment had vapid morons all over the mainstream and social media rushing to their various platforms to engage in the absolute idiocy of mounting the case for Patrick Mahomes to move above Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. as the GOAT.
You think Mahomes is the GOAT with the win?
The answer is yes.
Ooh-wee. The greatest player of all time. A debate which has been waging in various sports around the world since the dawn of time, and in some sports, a more hotly contested conversation than others. As it pertains to the National Football League, many thought of Joe Montana as the sport's, or at the very least, the position of quarterback's undisputed GOAT for years until Brady came along and decimated that conversation with his 2-decade run of unparalleled dominance.
We're still here! We're still here!
But now, just a mere 2 years since Brady retired, we must endure these kinds of conversations around his legacy.
Patrick Mahomes is the
best quarterback ever.
In a desperate quest to, for whatever reason, prop up the next best and upcoming thing on a pedestal. And that is emblematic of the society and the times in which we live. A pathetic and unquenchable thirst to anoint everything and everyone the best. Most typically, they are wholly undeserving of that title to be bestowed upon them. And while Mahomes is an undeniable all-time great player, deserving to be in the conversation with virtually every other quarterback who has ever lived, it is time, once and for all, to take Tom Brady's name out of your mouths. Stop this madness. It isn't close. It never was, and it never will be. As the Philadelphia Eagles dismantled the Kansas City Chiefs, so too was the GOAT conversation obliterated for all of time. Tom Brady played in 10 Super Bowls. 10. He was 7-3, with the 3 losses being by a combined 15 points, all of those one-score losses, while he walked off of the field in the late stages of the fourth quarter in 2 of those losses, both to the Giants, with the lead, only to have his defense give up go-ahead touchdowns with under a minute left. While his 3rd Super Bowl loss, coincidentally also coming to the Philadelphia Eagles, was in a game Brady set what remains the Super Bowl record: 505 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Those are Brady's 3 Super Bowl losses. That is all that stops him from being 10-0, while Patrick Mahomes has now been stomped out in 2 of his 5 Super Bowl appearances, both of which he was favored in.
There's things that I have to get better at, and they kind of showed today on the biggest stage, and so.
Yes, let us not forget Patty's other Super Bowl loss, which came to none other than Tom Brady. A 31-9 ass beating in a game the Chiefs were favored in by 3 points. Mahomes in that game posted a 52.3 quarterback rating, throwing 2 interceptions to 0 touchdowns, while Brady dropped a 125.8 rating, tossing for 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. And that was while capturing the Super Bowl 55 MVP. Oh yeah, and he was 43 years old in that game. In all, throughout Mahomes' career, in 5 Super Bowl appearances to this point, he has 10 passing touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Keep in mind though, 3 of those touchdowns came in pure garbage time last night, 2 of which were in the final 3 minutes of the game that the Chiefs were down by a score of 40-6 at the time. Yes, while Kenny Pickett was getting run in place of Jalen Hurts for the Eagles, Patty Mahomes was still in there stat padding. But 7 interceptions in 5 Super Bowl appearances, and you can compare that to just 6 for the true GOAT Brady in 10 Super Bowls. Again, there are obvious levels to this. Of course, Brady is too classy to put these absurd conversations to rest, but fittingly enough, after having to endure this idiocy for 2 weeks,
I think Patrick Mahomes plays the position at the highest level anyone's ever played it.
Brady himself was in the booth last night on the call for this game to see the GOAT case emphatically crumble around Mahomes as he crapped down his leg in the biggest game of his career to this point.
It's a complete crap.
Patrick Mahomes is an all-time great player, a tremendous leader and ambassador for the sport of football. It is possible to say those things without bestowing far too much than is deserved upon him. He will be back again in this game, likely many more times. That is what great players do.
We came up short, and so now it's how you respond.
But nothing will ever change the fact that Tom Brady is the GOAT. And you might as well indelibly etch that shit in stone, because it is never going to change.